Hey, what's going on, guys? OJ back here with another video, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit special here. Alright, we're going to be talking about our favorite bald man, Dana White himself, and we're going to play a little bit of a game. Alright, now I have in front of you a weirdly shaped bingo board, and we're going to be playing a little bit of a bingo game where we guess what Dana White's going to say during the post-fight press conference of UFC 326. Some of these I feel like are guaranteed because in the press conference he did guarantee a couple of things here, but I'm not gonna tick these off until like the day of the post-fight press conference. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the bingo card. Starting off, it's gonna be specifically catered to this card. All right, these are probable guarantees for UFC 326 alone. First off, he's gonna trash Arman Tsarukyan. I mean, this is a no-brainer at this point. You know, like, what's the question? No, did I watch Arman fight the Instagram influencer at RAF? Come on, you guys. Like, this is why Arman can't get another title shot here. Like, he's too violent. He's too much of a hothead, and we can't rely on him. And plus, he might miss weight in the next fight. Yeah, at this point, like, Dana White, I will not be surprised if he ices out Arman Tsarukyan because that's how much he despises Arman Tsarukyan. You know, it's kind of a shame because I do feel like it's incidents like these that will help Arman Tsarukyan get a title shot, but unfortunately, because Dana White needs to be petty, he's got to make it a point in saying, no, Arman was way out of bounds, and he should have never attacked Giorgio Poulos, or whatever that kid's name is. But yeah, that's basically what Dana White's probably going to do. He's just going to deny Arman Tsarukyan getting the next title shot because he got into another altercation at RAF, which, if you watched it, I wouldn't say it's Arman's fault, but it is what it is, and unfortunately, Dana White is going to be a petty-ass bitch about that. Alright, now moving on to someone else who's been getting shit on by Dana White for the past couple of years, Tom Aspinall. I mean, this guy at this point, like, I don't know what he does. Like, he basically got shelved for nearly 2 years because Dana White was secretly just sucking on John Jones' cock, but Tom Aspinall at this point, I think the bridge is burnt. Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but I just don't know if Dana White is willing to really make amends with Tom Aspinall. I wouldn't be shocked if Dana White strips Tom Aspinall of the undisputed belt in order to make a super fight with Alex Pereira and John Jones. Although, to be fair, I don't think John Jones is guaranteed to get into the White House card in any sort of mega fight in the UFC. But either way, I would not be shocked that if the future heavyweight heavyweight fight is announced, they're 100% going to strip Tom Aspinall of the belt because he got injured in his last fight against Cyril Gane, where Cyril Gane basically cheated. And Dana White, you know, rather than defending Tom Aspinall, he decided to reward the cheater in Cyril Gane with a possible another undisputed title shot. Moving on, all right, we are basically talking about Eddie Hearn. Yeah, he's going to continue to trash talk Eddie Hearn. Basically, Eddie Hearn is mortal enemies with Dana White right now because Dana White stole Conor Benn. And also, Eddie Hearn has been talking a lot of shit about Dana White as of recently. I feel like this is a no-brainer. You know, he's gonna go, he's the biggest pussy around here, folks. Yeah, who's a bigger pussy than Eddie Hearn here? Like, that's basically what Dana White's gonna say during the UFC 326 press conference. Maybe there's some mention about Tom Aspinall signing with Eddie Hearn, where Eddie Hearn is now acting as his manager. But yeah, regardless though, there's gonna be some trash talk to Eddie Hearn at the bare minimum, and maybe it's gonna be a 1-2 combo with Eddie Hearn and Tom Aspinall being thrown under the bus by this bald man. Speaking about the reasons as to why Dana White and Eddie Hearn are at war, Dana White's gonna start justifying Conor Benn earning $15 million for one fight. It's like, you get what you kill, all right? You get what you kill. Like, if it was so easy to earn money in MMA, go somewhere else, kid. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, Conor Benn is a needle mover. The rest of you guys, like Alex Pereira, aren't. So, unfortunately, you guys can't get $50 million for one fight. That's probably what Dana White's gonna say if someone asks him about the Conor Ben signing. We know that's a huge controversy considering Dana White was the same person who's been talking about changing the boxing pay system. But unfortunately, Conor Ben gets $15 million. Even though Conor Ben is not even the best boxer in his division. Meanwhile, we got guys like Alex Pereira and Ilya Topuria who are not even making half of that money combined with their UFC purses. So it's just unfortunate, but Dana White is a stingy motherfucker unless it's for Conor Ben for some reason. We're going to continue on with boxing here. You know, he's going to hype up Zuffa Boxing more than the fighters who fought on UFC 326. You know, the heavyweight Zuffa Boxing belt, it's a badass fight. These guys, the UFC, they could put on a show, but, this Zuffa Boxing's just different here, folks. Like, I don't know. Like, Dana White at this point, he's just checked out. He just wants to promote Zuffa Boxing more than the UFC at this point. Genuinely, why is this bald man here? He is a literal enemy of the UFC itself, yet we're still keeping him as the face of the UFC for some reason. It just doesn't make sense in my opinion, but either way, that's what's gonna happen, because Dana White really wants Zuffa Boxing to go off, even though, let's be honest here, Zuffa Boxing is a load of shit. Last but not least about boxing, we're gonna talk about Oscar De La Hoya, because Dana White is mortal enemies with Oscar De La Hoya. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if Dana White, like, he's not even asked about anything related to boxing. It's just all of a sudden, like, he trashes Oscar De La Hoya because why not? Which is why you never know. Like, maybe he just does it for old time's sake. And I feel like it's very safe to include trashing Oscar De La Hoya on this list. Who said the BMF belt was a fake belt? Alright, that's basically what Dana White's going to come out here and say if there's an exciting finish in this fight or if there's a crazy war back and forth. Because Dana White, he just loves to promote this gimmicky-ass belt. Alright, and listen, I love Max Holloway, I love Charles Oliveira, but it is kind of a gimmicky belt, let's be honest here. But Dana White's going to be like, they had a badass fight here, folks. Like, who says that it's a gimmick belt? Who says that? Like, nobody else can put on a fun fight like these two folks. And so, yeah, that's what Dana White is going to do. And I just don't know if Dana White's really going to be in tune with the fans here. Because the fans, they're saying that, oh, it's kind of a weak main event. All right, but just because it ended well, it shouldn't really justify putting on the BMF belt as a main event moving forward. But I feel like Dana White, if the fight ends in a very fun fashion, which it most likely will, alright, Dana White's going to continue justifying using the BMF belt as a title placeholder just to get in some more views and overall make it an excuse for a weak-ass pay-per-view. Alright, now up next, we got something that's practically guaranteed for us, announcing White House main event. Dana White did publicly state that the entire White House card will be announced this Saturday. So I feel like this is a kind of a cheap shot, but at the same time, though, I'll take what I can get. And Dana White will announce the White House main event on Saturday night. So cross this off on your bingo list, and hopefully we get a bingo off this one. Alright, from here on out, we're going to start talking about the more general stuff that Dana White likes to do. First off, we got reading a bunch of bullshit stats that nobody cares about. That's how Dana White always starts off a pay-per-view. Post-fight press conference, the gate did like $17 million here, guys. Highest bidding gate over the last year. There's some bullshit like that. That's what Dana White loves to introduce every single post-fight press conference with, and overall nobody really cares, but Dana White loves to do that for some reason, and which is why I thought to include it on this list. Alright, moving on though, we got one of my favorite Dana White quotes. We'll figure it out on Tuesday, kid. Alright, this is the Dana White default deflection tactic. If Dana White is asked a random matchup in the future that the UFC could make, Dana White's gonna go like, we'll figure it out on Tuesday, kid. We don't make fights here on Saturday. Alright, unless it's for Colby Covington, but that's a very specific issue. In general, that's how Dana White just avoids answering any of the fan speculations regarding future matchups. He's just going to say, oh, we're going to matchmake on Tuesday, kid. Alright, so put that on your bingo card, and definitely this will be crossed out following UFC 326. Alright, so back to focusing on the White House card. Alright, because the White House card will be announced, I will not be surprised if the White House card announcement comes with glaze of Donald Trump. Alright, this is 100% going to happen. The president here, he put on this crazy event for us. We got to thank him, alright? And just to be sure, alright, because this is a 2-for-1 package, alright, Dana White for sure is going to mention that, we're not here to push politics, kid, alright? You don't need to like the politics that he employs, but, he's a great guy at the end of the day, and we love him for that reason, and we want to put on a fun show at the White House here, folks. Yeah, that's probably what Dana White's gonna say, something along those lines. Do I think he's gonna really dive into political stuff? Not really. Like, he rarely does it unless it's like Sean Strickland or something. But yeah, Dana White doesn't typically dive into politics, but if someone asks him about like political situations, I would not be shocked if Dana White just comes out and is like, you don't need to like my politics. We're not here to push politics on any of you guys, even though we're specifically campaigning for Donald Trump. Alright, that's typically what Dana White does. Now, speaking of which, about politics, we got some of the biggest topics in the world going on right now. The war with Iran. I doubt that any of the reporters will ask Dana White regarding the war with Iran, but if Dana White had to give a comment, he's going to be like, well, what's the question? What do I think about the war with Iran? Yeah, come on, you guys. Ask Hunter. I'm not here to push politics, kid. Talk to our president. Like, Dana White is gonna use all the deflection he can do. I just don't see Dana White really answering this question straight up, which is kind of unfortunate, but still, though, like, Dana White is not gonna answer political questions unless it's blatant glaze of Donald Trump, and that's how Dana White operates whenever he's on the mic in the UFC. And also, if Dana White is asked a question that he clearly doesn't like, you people in the media suck, alright? Like, you guys love to push all the buttons here. That's typically Dana White's response to a question that he doesn't really want to answer, alright? It's either that or he just doesn't give a comment. He's like, ask Hunter, we'll figure it out on Tuesday, kid. That is one of the two main deflections that Dana White loves to use, which is pretty funny, I will admit that, but yeah, other than that, though, Dana White is his vocabulary, I guess, if you want to talk. Like, his vocabulary in deflecting these questions, very limited to say the least. But that's what makes Dana White really fun, because you kind of understand what he's going to say before he even says it, which is really funny. This next section, I'm going to just rapid fire here, because I feel like one of these will be true, but I doubt all of them will be. I don't think we're going to get any news about Alex Pereira. Either that, or we're not going to get any news about Ilya Taporia, or we might not get any news about Islam Makhachev. I doubt that Dana White's going to announce all three of them. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them gets announced, but I feel like at least two of these you can take off, because there's no way that Dana White really has plans for all three of these guys at the same time. As for other guys, we're in negotiations with Conor McGregor, right? That's probably what Dana White's going to say regarding the White House card. Actually, no, he's going to announce the White House card on Saturday, so maybe not. But, I don't know if Conor McGregor's really going to fight on the White House card. That's what I'll say. So, Dana White's still going to be like, yeah, we're still under negotiations with Conor. Let's see if the kid wants to fight. He'll probably say that he can't trust Jon Jones, because Jon Jones left him at the altar and basically made the fans just riot because, let's be honest here, Jon Jones was a cowarding duck, and Dana White was defending him with his dick in his mouth. And honestly, Dana White, that's on you, alright? You should not be defending Jon Jones in the year of 2025, but that's what Dana White did. Even though he's on good terms-ish, he's going to be very hesitant to putting Jon Jones near the White House card or any single important event that's going to happen in the UFC. Now, these next couple of things that I'm going to talk about, I feel like it's guaranteed because Dana White loves to do this often. All right, first off, he's going to try to leave early, 15 minutes into the press conference. It's no secret that Dana White's checked out. The guy just doesn't not care about doing his job at this point. And honestly, I don't even know why he's sticking around, right? The guy literally doesn't do anything other than gambling with the Nelk boys. And honestly, we can tell because the only time this guy's happy is when he's going on a gambling side tangent, talking about gambling with the Nelk Boys, Aiden Ross, or just any kind of big streamer. Like, Dana White loves to talk about gambling, but not about UFC fights. Either that, though, or, like, let's say something important's brought up that happened, like, over the weekend. He's going to be like, no, I've not seen that. I'm not in tune with anything that's going around in my company, even though I'm the CEO. Yeah, that's typically how Dana White loves to operate, and honestly, it's just another reason as to why Dana White needs to be fired from being the CEO of the UFC. These last two that I'm going to talk about, like, it's very situational. Like, I doubt that it's going to happen, but the first one being, he's going to get frustrated when he's asked about the result of Rob Font versus Rosas Jr. if Rosas Jr. loses, because the UFC and Dana White love Mexican prospects like Rosas Jr. They see Rosas Jr. as a potential star in their eyes, and if he loses to Rob Font, it's kind of tough, and I feel like Dana White will be a little bit pouty about that because Rob Font, let's face it, was not supposed to beat Rosas Jr. Last but not least, though, again, I doubt that this is going to be mentioned, but he's going to laugh. Alright, he's going to laugh when the GFL is mentioned about relaunching, just like everyone else, alright? Because let's be honest here, the GFL absolutely sucks, and I doubt that the GFL is going to be actually taking steps into getting fights done. But either way, though, yeah, relaunching of the GFL, Dana White and everybody else in the UFC building will take it as a joke, because at the end of the day, the GFL is nothing more of a joke. But overall, this is my bingo card for UFC 326 Dana White edition. I feel like we can hit a couple of bingos on this card, maybe at least two. But yeah, leave a comment down below what you guys think. Do you guys think we can hit bingo on this card? Let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, I will share the results on my YouTube posts and Instagram page following the event, and Dana White spewing his usual bullshit, and I will post that immediately after. But yeah, other than that, if you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can monetize the channel. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, alright, please let me know, because I really do like the Dana White bingo card. Alright, let me know about any improvements you guys want to see, and I'll try to make them. But other than that, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.